Breaking news coming to our CBS Sports HQ studios. In the Big 12, and Kansas have found themselves a new head coach in Lance Leipold. Our Dennis Dodd confirming that news for Kansas. The 56-year-old went 10-4 in his time there at Buffalo. They went 24-10 over the last 3 years. That includes a top 25 finish in 2020. He takes over for Les Miles, with, of course, spent time with the Jayhawks, who went 0-9 last season. So before that, he spent some time in Division III, won 6 national titles with Wisconsin Whitewater, compiled a record of 109 wins and just 6 losses over that time. Now taking his talents from Wisconsin, Buffalo, over to Kansas with the Jayhawks. Let's bring in our Chip Patterson to break all this down. And it seems like they have a new coach. Seems like this is a cycle that we've seen quite too often, but now they have a new guy there taking over for the Jayhawks. Your reaction to that?
I thought that Kansas, as this search narrowed, really had no bad options, because the reporting through the week, including from our own Dennis Dodd, indicated that we were looking at Army's Jeff Monken or Buffalo's Lance Leipold. And these are 2 head coaches that have been considered candidates and have potentially even been interviewed for jobs that I would think are better than Kansas. And so if Kansas is going to be able to make a hire of a head coach who was coveted, or at least was considered a potential candidate for better jobs, then if you're a Kansas fan, you've got to be happy here. Now, Lance Leipold, I think, has some very specific characteristics that make him the perfect fit for this Kansas job. We got to remember that the way that Les Miles was dismissed, embroiled in scandal, you've got a new athletic director. That whole athletic department, aside from the basketball program and maybe even the basketball program, it's very much in a state of transition. And I think that's what made Lance Leipold interested in this job. We remember his success at Buffalo. He's had 4 of the 6 most successful seasons in Buffalo's history. But one of the reasons that he took that job was because he was going to have the opportunity to be able to build things from the ground up. And so Lance Leipold sees Kansas, and I think he sees an opportunity to build a program from the ground up. To, like he did with Buffalo, come in, bring in some of his own staff, some of his own people, and slowly work this thing to the point where, as you mentioned, you turn Buffalo into a top 25 team, MAC Coach of the Year twice, a 10-win season in 2018. Brandon, I would not be surprised if that is the similar blueprint here at Kansas, if we see some Buffalo assistants, especially those that came with him from Wisconsin Whitewater, if he keeps some of that same team together, because Kansas is a rebuild within the entire athletic department and football support staff. There is so much more than just the head coach that needs to be replaced there. And that's why I think Lance Leipold, somebody who has done that before, I think he's the absolute perfect hire for the Jayhawks.
Of course, you mentioned, success there in Buffalo, and also I mentioned the D3 success as well. Now transition to Kansas. How much of a gap might it be coming from the MAC over to the Big 12? Now they're at a program that hasn't had success in quite some time.
The problem is going to be talent acquisition, because you had the opportunity at Wisconsin Whitewater, you're D3, but you can get into the Chicago area and try and find some maybe overlooked talent, but you're playing against D3 schools. And then you go into the MAC, and he could go into Cleveland, he could hit the East Coast, and he was able to find some players that fit his system. I mean, Chip Patterson was one of the best running backs in all of college football, and that Buffalo offense was absolutely fantastic. But what is the competition going to be like on the recruiting trail in the Big 12? And then when you show up on Saturdays, it's going to be so much tougher. I speak about all the ways that I'm confident in Lance Leipold because of the way that he can build a program, the way that he can have a system, and the way that he can sort of organize and be able to lead Kansas into a brighter future. But those are all big picture things. And so in order for Kansas to be successful, he's really going to have to ramp it up, and he's going to have to make some inroads and find ways to be able to get talent. Now, in this transfer portal era, there might be opportunities to be able to at least have a Band-Aid for the talent situation at Kansas. Go find some players that can come in, fit your system. You can offer them immediate eligibility, immediate playing time, and that can at least help you get your feet under you. But that is going to be the real key for Lance Leipold at Kansas. I believe in his big picture skills, but he's got to be able to get talent, because the talent at Kansas at times has even been below what you might find in his old conference.
Well, you mentioned there, of course, hanging his hat on success, but you mentioned players as well, and possibly transfer portal or recruiting. When you look at the success he's had in the past, what is his calling card? Is it finding a quarterback that can run a system, or maybe players on the defensive side that he can build off that? If you're jumping into this program now, what is he hanging his hat on day one?
The success and showing what I can do for you, the way that we can be able to lead you on to the next level, to say, look at Buffalo was when I took over, and look where we were when we were winning 10 games, when we were finishing in the top 25, competing for MAC championships. That's what he's able to hang his hat on, because 6 national championships sounds awesome. But it does come in this conversation with, yeah, but it was at Division III. So we think you're a good coach, but to be able to take a program like Buffalo and to be able to lead to that kind of success, to be able to have a couple of names that you can point to, I think that that's what his big pitch is going to be, is come and join for a part of the rebuild. And that's something that I think does appeal to a lot of prospects, the idea that you can be a part of something brand new and really be a part of the change that can happen at a program. I mean, that was the kind of pitch that Howard Schnellenberger and Jimmy Johnson had for prospects down in South Florida for Miami before Miami was anything, and that started to get turned around. So I think that Kansas is really going to try to sell itself as this is a total rebuild. We're giving Lance Leipold the keys. We're going to allow him to draw up the blueprint. We're going to allow him to put in his scheme. And I think that when you don't have to worry about doing the bidding of an athletic director or booster club or university president, if all of those things are working against you, it's very tough to put your plan in place. But it sure seems like Kansas is going to give Lance Leipold, a terrific head coach who has proven himself to be a rebuilder, the opportunity to do that with the Jayhawks. And if he can do it, man, that's like the best thing that could happen for Kansas is if Lance Leipold is there for 8 years. Because that means that he has been able to show improvement year after year in order to continue to get the success, in order to continue to get the support that he needs from fans, from the university. That is the hope, if I'm a Kansas fan, that Lance Leipold is going to be our coach for at least 2 full 4-year recruiting cycles, because that means we are in a much healthier place at the end of that run.
All right, Chip, we got about 30 seconds here. I mean, it can't get any worse than last year going 0-9, but give me a record for next season. As we see now, look, 3 wins, 1, 2. By the way, their last winning season, 2008, they won 8 games. In Leipold's first year, kind of give me maybe how many wins we're getting in year 1 for the Jayhawks.
They'll win a couple games, but I don't think that we're talking about a bowl game in year 1. I don't have the schedule pulled up in front of me right now, Brandon, but I'm going to say that this is a Kansas team that is going to have an opportunity to win a couple of non-con games and will put a scare in at least one Big 12 opponent. I don't think they'll go – how about this? I don't think they'll go winless in the Big 12. They'll get at least 1 conference game and maybe 2 non-cons. So I'll go with 3-9 off the top of my head.
3-9, just matching a few years ago. All right, Chip Patterson, appreciate your time as always, my friend. We'll see how they do at the Big 12 with the breaking news of Lance Leipold, now the head coach at Kansas. You can catch him on the Cover 3 podcast. Download and give the guys a listen. Of course, this will be the new subject here. Lance Leipold coming over from Buffalo. Had some stellar years there, 39 wins, 33 losses, but also before that, D3 was very successful, 100 wins there. Can he do it with the Jayhawks? We'll see. Download and give the guys a follow.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.